Alright, greetings and salutations, people of the internet. It's your boy the Nomad coming at you again today with another Critique the Clip segment. And I want to go ahead and start this video off by saying forgive me if I sound a bit under the weather. I'm getting over a cold with the seasonal change. So you guys, I ask that you bear with me, forgive me. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce you guys to a Critique the Clip segment that actually kind of gets me a little bit hot and bothered. It's a topic that I'm really passionate about, and you can say that I kind of have somewhat of the controversial statement. But without further ado, y'all know the format and y'all know the style. We're not coming at anybody, we're coming at ideas. We're attacking ideas to give them critiques, not these people. No personal ad hominem attacks on any creators involved. I love you all. But without further ado, let's get into this.
What flavor this is? What flavor this is? What flavor this is? This is strawberry cream, y'all. Strawberry cream, y'all.
Strawberry cream, y'all.
What flavor this is? What flavor this is? What flavor this is? This is strawberry cream, y'all. Strawberry cream, y'all.
Strawberry cream, y'all.
Okay, I wanted to go ahead and play that through twice just so y'all can kind of hear. I know that clip was a little bit fast, but I want to go ahead and talk about this concept today. Now, I noticed the title of the video is What Did She Just Say? And for those of y'all who may not know what she just said, she was just assessing the fragrance of a candle and said that it was strawberry cream. That's cool. But the topic that I want to touch on today is why are African Americans not allowed to have an accent without being ridiculed or looked at as less than? Somebody answer me that. I really do want to know. Now, this is something that I'm not even going to say a little bit, that I'm very passionate about, because I see this perpetuated all across cultures. I don't know what it is, but it's just that when it comes to African Americans speaking in a certain type of accent, they're looked at as less than. And it's crazy because historically, you could see where some of those things align, but you would think in the year 2023 that we would be over that we would be through that. I never understood as to why when they speak a certain kind of way, or when anybody speaks a certain kind of way, how you could look at anybody as less than. But I really want to go ahead and cover this video today to let you guys know that there is a certain level, and I'm not even going to say a certain level, it is a god-awful level of unfairness, of ridicule that comes to African Americans' way when they speak in their native dialect. Yes, I said dialect. AAVE is classified as a dialect. Don't get mad at me, get mad at your mama. But anyway, it's classified as a dialect. I don't know why so many people look at it as just speaking broken English. I think that's ridiculous. And no real linguist looks at it that way. You can find countless of videos on YouTube of linguists breaking down AAVE and the history of it. So many people look at it as a language being spoken as less than, rather than looking at it as a language of circumstance. When you hear Jamaicans speaking patois, you don't look at them as less than. People never look at them as less than. They look at them as speaking a dialect native to their lands based off of their history, which is exactly what AAVE is. Patois is literally the same in origin. It's a dialect consisting of English and native colloquialisms of Africa, specifically West and Central, excuse me, that make up that language. And so it sounds like shortened English in certain instances. And the same thing can be said about AAVE. There are a plethora, and I mean a plethora of different quote unquote native English speaking countries that have certain ways that they say words and they're not looked at as less than. For instance, when you listen to an Australian say the word no, it's funny. They add on R's and they add this little kind of sound at the end of it when they're speaking, but they're not looked at as less than. It's not looked at as improper English. It's looked at as, oh, this is the way they speak English. But it's not that way with African Americans, and I never understood why. And what concerns me the most is and I'm not even gonna say everybody in the comments, but I'm pretty sure if this video blows, I'm pretty sure there are going to be people in the comments that try and hit me with a little bit of race realism here and say, well, don't you think that people who speak in a certain kind of informal manner would be looked at as less intelligent? And to that I say no. And if you look at it that way, you have a lot of learning to do when it comes to the culture of the African American community. What's perpetuated within the African American community is this thing called code switching, where somebody will happily speak a certain kind of way around their peers and around their relatives because that is the dialect in which they grew up speaking. That is the way in which they grew up speaking. So around family members, they're happy to speak that way. You might catch them in certain encounters where they're speaking to their family members and they're not speaking quote unquote proper English. But that's fine. I'm not going to hear somebody speak a certain kind of way and automatically assume their level of intelligence. That's foolish. And if nobody's ever heard of code switching, I encourage you to please go and find out what it is. But in layman's terms, code switching is essentially just breaking away from that dialect and speaking proper English around other individuals who may not necessarily understand the slangs and colloquialisms, of AAVE. And I'm perfectly fine with people doing that. That's normal. That's how you conduct business. And that's how you keep the lines clear to understand what people are talking about. So I can completely understand the concept of code switching. However, there is a part of me that's reserved that's just like, man, I just want to see them kind of push it a little bit further to where people aren't looking at them as less than, to where it's modernized to the point where it's not going to garner disrespect, in short. Because there are certain times where certain people will take slangs and colloquialisms from AAVE and then it's quote unquote cool. But there are so many other times where people will view individuals as less than and assume things that are completely out of left field. And now some of you may be saying, no, Matt, what if you're assuming? I'm looking at this video right here and it doesn't seem like this guy's saying anything. You're right. I'll go ahead and cut him some slack. He's not saying anything. He's leaving it up in the atmosphere. So I'm not critiquing his idea. However, I want to go ahead and show you guys something here. Let me go ahead and pull up these comments. I'm going to do something a little bit different that I typically hardly ever do. Let's open these comments real quick and you can see some of the things that are being said about this young lady simply based off of her accent. It's ridiculous. I'm sure she also uses words like cereals, men's, spaghettis, ambulant, livery, etc. You forgot to say the word loved it, making loved it a 2-syllable word, ambulance, yada yada yada. No rude comments because YouTube keeps threatening to block me for telling the truth, quote unquote telling the truth. What were you saying? So she's so wonderful and literate and she has a bright future as an English teacher. And this is what got me. And I'm sure she's a wonderful mother. Hilarious. Scarberry Fields forever. She's just trying to be crude and people are just laughing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand that they may be poking fun and I'm not necessarily saying that people don't have the right to, laugh at whatever form of comedy they're willing to laugh at. But at the end of the day, I'm sure she's a wonderful mother. When people say things like this and they're being sarcastic and trying to lower people's value simply based off of the way that they speak when they're comfortable, I think that is insane. I think it's absolutely insane, especially when you have a plethora of other cultures out there who speak quote unquote broken English or have certain words that aren't exactly correct in English and they're not looked at as less than. I really want to know, what is the stigma behind not Native Americans, African Americans, to where people just look at them as less than? It feels like they're cursed. It feels like they're cursed. And then there's so many people that run around and say, black people complain all the time, this, that, and the third. It's like, well, look at the culture surrounding them. Everybody else is allowed to try and speak like them and they're hip. They're cool. They're getting with the times. But let it be them speaking their normal way. Speaking something that they grew up speaking. Or speaking in a manner or way that they grew up speaking. And they're looked at as less than. And it's crazy. It's insane. And I think what's absolutely even more insane is that we have black men who are clowning these women. Literally clowning this young lady. Y'all don't know this lady? Y'all don't know anything about this lady, but there are so many people who jump to conclusions about how a person is based off of the way that they speak. I think that's crazy, man. I think it's absolutely insane. Some of the people in these comments should be ashamed of themselves. That's insane, man. Excuse me. Absolutely insane. You should be ashamed of yourself, man. But that's kind of my soapbox for tonight. I just wanted to throw that out there, and I want to get everybody else's opinion. Do you think that African Americans are unfairly criticized for the way that they speak their quote-unquote broken English? And do you think other cultures should start taking some of the same heat as well? Should we go ahead and make it English supremacy? To where it's like, if you're not speaking this certain kind of way, we're going to view you as less than everybody? Is it going to be equalized? That's all I got to say. Once again, I love you all. Y'all let me know what y'all think. No matter how. Y'all be blessed.